Welcome Colonet students to the lesson of the eye. I believe you are able to see these writings here on your screen with the help of your eyes. So it is good to also understand the structure and function of the eye. The eye is a complex sense organ that receives light, by which an animal receives and differentiates objects. That is the structure of an eye. These are parts. We have the vitreous humor here. There is aqueous humor. We have the optic nerve. There is retina. There is the scleroid layer. We have conjunctiva here. The ciliary muscle, iris, cornea. There are lenses, of course the pupil, the anterior chamber, as well as the posterior chamber, and also our other parts which I was not able to show you in this diagram, but we shall discuss all of them, the functions. So the eye is located in a socket in the skull called the orbit, and this orbit offers protection against physical damage. So the position where your eyes are called the orbit. This has a fatty layer which acts as a shock absorber against mechanical injury. There are lateral rectus muscles that move the eye left and right. We also have superior and inferior rectus muscles that move the eye up and down. We have oblique muscles that steady the eye in its up and down movements. From the eyelids are the eyelashes. Are eyelashes that prevent entry of foreign materials to the eye. So the eyelids are those that close the eye, that portion of skin, and then at the end of the eyelids are eyelashes. We have eyebrows, which are thickly covered with hair and prevent entry of sweat and dust to the eye. So some girls like doing makeup, and they shave the eyebrows and leave the eye with no protection. So that is very dangerous. We have cornea, and it is a transparent. It is also curved, and therefore if it is curved, it refracts light rays, allowing light to pass through. The choroid layer is a tissue with black or dark pigment. It prevents internal reflection of light in the eye. This choroid is also richly supplied with blood vessels, and these blood vessels supply oxygen and nutrients to the eye, as well as removing metabolic wastes. The conjunctiva, on the other hand, is a thin, transparent tuft to allow light to pass through, and it also protects the eye because it is tough. If it is thin and transparent, it allows light. Being tough, it protects the eye. We also have the sclerotic layer, and it is made up of collagen fibers, which are fibrous. These fibers maintain the shape of the eyeball and also protects the eye from mechanical injury. There is another part called the blind spot, and this part has no cones and rods, and it is place where optic nerve leaves and enters the eye. So that is the blind spot. We have retina, has cones and rods for bright color vision or low light vision. Because the retina has cones, and these cones contain photochemical pigment or color called iodopsin. This iodopsin receives light of high intensity, of high strength. This iodopsin breaks down in presence of light to iodine and opsin components, resulting in depolarization of the cell of the cones. Earlier, we have discussed what polarization and depolarization are. These cones lack retinal convergence because of the bipolar neuron linking with the optic nerve fiber. Thus, cones, if because of lack of retinal convergence, then there is high visual acuity, that is the ability of the eye to distinguish objects clearly. Rods also contain photochemical pigment, rhodopsin. This here we had mentioned, which perceives light of low intensity. Since cones receive light of high intensity, rods receive light of low intensity, and therefore have low visual acuity. They cannot distinguish fine details. There is also a yellow spot called fovea centralis, and this one has a high concentration of cones for accurate vision or visual acuity. The optic nerve has sensory nerve fibers for transmission of impulses to the brain for interpretation. The lens is biconvex and is made up of elastic or flexible material, and it is also transparent. It can adjust focus on far or near objects to allow light to pass through for refraction of light rays. There are parts called the ciliary body, and this one is made up of muscle fibers which are glandular, and they contract and relax to change the shape of the eye. There are also suspensory ligaments, and these are inelastic to hold lens in position. There is the choroid layer, as we had discussed earlier. It is a layer of tissue with black pigment, and it prevents internal reflection of light in the eye. It is also containing blood vessels that supply oxygen, nutrients, as well as removing metabolic wastes. We have also the pupil, and it is the small hole at the center of the iris through which light passes into the eye. We have the aqueous humor, and it is a fluid through which oxygen, nutrients pass to the cornea. This vitreous humor also maintains the shape of the eyeball. Apart from the aqueous humor, we have the vitreous humor, and it is a fluid which maintains the shape of the eyeball. It also, the two refract light rays. We also have the part called iris, and it is the colored part of the eye, and it gives the eye its color. So there are people who have black or brown eyes, so that is the role of iris. It has radial and circular muscles that control the size of the pupil. Lastly, we have the cornea, and it is a transparent, curved, and reflects light rays, and also allows light to pass through it. Having looked at the parts of the eye, how is image formed and then interpreted accordingly? So the mammalian eye works like a camera. The light rays enter the cornea and then pass through the aqueous humor to the lens and vitreous humor, and they are focused on the fovea centralis on the retina. So they enter the cornea, then pass to the aqueous humor, lens, vitreous humor, focused on the fovea centralis of the retina. These light rays are refracted by aqueous humor and lenses. After that, the light finally falls on the retina to form an image. The image is real and inverted, smaller than the object. It is reversed actually. The image from the left eye are interpreted by the cerebral hemisphere, the right cerebral hemisphere, and those from the right eye are interpreted by the left cerebral hemisphere. So we remember we said the cerebrum is that part of the brain that integrates sensory movements like vision, among others. Retina forms a very clear image when light reaches it. So when we know how the image is formed, then let us look at what we call accommodation of the eye. So accommodation is the ability of the eye to adjust and to bring an image from a near or far object into a sharp or clear focus on the retina. Then how does accommodation of a far object take place? What happens is that the ciliary muscles relax, suspensory ligaments become tight. So this is it. Light rays from very far object, 7 meters and above. So the ciliary muscles here, they contract, they relax, and then the suspensory ligaments, these ones here, become tight. What follows is that the lens decrease in curvature, they become thin, and light rays from a far object are less refracted, hence focused on retina. That is for a far object. So that is about the eye. Go do this assignment. For example, you are being told to state the part of the eye involved in color vision. All these are found in the notes.